Hi, I'm delighted to introduce Tony. He's from the Vegan Organic Network, and their tagline is "Yes, you can." So I'm just going to pass you through to Tony, and he can tell us a little bit about his organisation and what he does.
Hi, I'm Tony Martin, editor of the Vegan Organic Network's magazine, Growing Green International, and we're about producing food without the use of animal products or without the use of artificial fertilisers or nasty chemicals.
So those who don't know about veganic farming, what is it?
So basically, veganic farming, traditional farming will use blood, bone, fish meal, hoof, horn, and other products that are left over from slaughterhouse, and also chemicals which we know are toxic to the environment. Organic will use the blood, bone, hoof and horn, etc., but won't use chemicals or certain limited chemicals. Veganic is basically using none of those things, but using natural methods for pest control, such as slugs are eaten by frogs or hedgehogs, barrier methods to prevent the creatures actually attaching plants.
Some people might say that we already got all the bones and we've got the blood and the guts. So rather than waste it, why don't we just use the whole animal for the system?
Well, if we were to use products from the animal system, basically what we're doing is contributing, because they will make money from these products, like leather, for instance. It's not a byproduct, it's something they get money from. And the more money they get, the more animal products they'll raise, and the more damage they'll do. The systems for growing veganically are considerably different to standard growing. At the moment it's till the soil, kill everything in there with pesticides, herbicides. It's very anti-life. Veganic growing is more about promoting life. You only have to look at a BBC programme that shows soil many years ago, and after they till the soil you see a huge number of birds come swooping in and eating the life from the soil. And they plough the same field later on, and there's no birds around because there's nothing in the soil left, it's dead. Dead soil gets washed away, we lose our topsoil. So it's a very different farming method. We use cover crops, we use nitrogen fixers, we use mulch. So it's a very different process, but it's a long-term high fertility system.
So Tony, can you tell us what are some of the benefits of veganic farming versus, say, using animal fertilisers?
Well, the main benefits are that you're not contributing to the animal industry, which causes the death of billions of animals each year, the damage to the environment, etc. And you can grow on your whatever scale you want, from in your backyard to full commercial growing. Ian Tolhurst has been doing this for 20 odd years, and if you look at natural systems such as a natural forest, they don't have slaughterhouse products emptied over them all the time. Basically with veganic systems you use systems like, for instance, nitrogen fixers, plants which will take nitrogen from the air and naturally fix them that other plants can use. Fungi, for instance, will transport nitrogen from Italian alders to other plants, and other plants will pass sugars to the Italian alder. That is kind of a natural cycle for the plants.
Sounds wonderful. So how about cost-wise? Is it more expensive, would you say, for a veganic farming system?
Well, a lot of the farming systems that are currently used are heavily subsidised because, for instance, if you're feeding cattle, you need a huge area of land to either grow the crops or raise the cattle on. So veganic farming can and should be a much cheaper way if there wasn't all these subsidies going to the animal farming. So basically, growing veganically is very much a long-term investment. You're investing in the soil, producing better soil, but you will reduce your costs by doing so. Permaculture principles are very much used with veganic growing. So it will take initial, like any system where you're changing the system, there will be costs involved in that, but you are moving towards a more productive and more sensible future.
Why should farmers transition towards veganic farming, do you think? What are some of the long-term benefits for the environment, say?
Well, we've seen and we know from lots of studies that environment is being damaged by animal agriculture. Something like 20% of energy usage goes to that. We've seen massive deforestation for grain grown for animals. So the benefits are for the whole planet and obviously for individuals as well in terms of health.
Would you say veganic farming is as efficient at feeding like the population?
Well, veganic farming is much more efficient because if you consider that products have to be fed to an animal, the animal has to grow. So I think we're talking a ratio between 3 and 10 to 1 land areas for the difference between growing an animal and eating the animal as to eating the plants directly.
Tony, what's your advice for any farmer that's considering transitioning towards veganic farming?
We can give you help in terms of the systems that can be used for growing. It's a growing market, so if you're getting in early, you can get your foothold in there and start making some money from it. The best way to contact us is either on Facebook or on our website, www.veganorganic.net. We produce a biannual magazine, and we've been going for since 1996 now. So come along, join up, and help us support you getting veganic food.
Thank you very much, Tony.